Welcome back to NYSE Live. Earlier this month, NYSE listed Western Union announced that it selected digital asset infrastructure firm Fireblocks to power its very first stablecoin. Joining me now is Fireblocks co-founder and CEO Michael Shaulov. Michael, welcome to NYSE Live.
Thanks for having us, Ashley.
So how will you and your team be providing the core infrastructure for the USDPT stablecoin?
Yeah, so Western Union is about to launch a stablecoin throughout the infrastructure and the ability to remit those assets to all the countries that they're operating in. And we're providing them the entire wallet infrastructure, the orchestration layer, and the ability to move those assets from the US and Europe to Latin America, Africa, and APAC.
All right, and in a statement, you called this a quote, a generational modernization for Western Union's infrastructure. How is your platform helping firms keep pace with the latest financial trends?
So we work with pretty much all the incumbents to help them adopt digital assets and move to areas like stablecoins, RWAs, that are basically tokenized securities, and to modernize them, bringing them from the old rails where they were relying on technologies like Swift and other technologies that were built in the 70s to technologies that are compatible with the way that the internet works, that they can move money instantly across borders and across territories in a very cheap cost, and also basically build them towards AI and programmable money.
All right, and what advantages does the Fireblocks Network offer that stands out amongst competitors?
Yeah, so when you think about companies like Western Union, MoneyGram, and others, when they go into the space, they need to interact in a fairly complex network of intermediaries, like on-ramps, off-ramps, stablecoin issuers, and a lot of other partners that are required to process those transactions. For example, they need to take stablecoin from the US, eventually they need to deliver it to a wallet in Bolivia or in the Philippines. And over there, they need partners that will allow the clients to convert that stablecoin using an FX transaction to Philippine peso or to the Bolivian currency. And we help them to connect across all those partners through the Fireblocks Network.
And I understand that Fireblocks supports $14 trillion in digital asset transactions across more than 150 blockchains. Where are you seeing the most demand right now?
So interestingly enough, 65% of our volume in the last 12 months have been in stablecoins, and that's up from 40% about 2 years ago. Most of the adoption that we are seeing right now is in stablecoins, and that becomes the primary usage around crypto, especially now that I would say the crypto prices are a bit down. We're seeing the main adoption of using the actual technology of the crypto rails, of the blockchain, and the ability to use stablecoins and other dollar-denominated or euro-denominated currencies to digitalize money.
All right, and Fireblocks also recently released a survey finding that 88% of financial institutions have committed or will commit to budget to digital asset infrastructure in 2026. What are you seeing on that front?
Yeah, we're seeing huge adoption across the board. First of all, the payment companies, all of them are already in the mix, in the game. Western Union, MoneyGram, Ria, Tap&Send, Visa, MasterCard, all those players are already active. We are now seeing the banks coming in. We're working on more than 30 different RFPs across tier 1 and tier 2 banks globally. And we believe that they are going to be the next one to adopt digital assets, clearly stablecoins, but also tokenized securities, tokenized commodities, and other forms of assets.
And how are banks beginning to use stablecoins as an extension of existing financial systems rather than a replacement in our last minute?
Yeah, I think that, generally speaking, they need to go and compete and across the various transactional banking activities that they're doing. That's the first thing that is happening over there. So corporates, they expect them supply chain. They expect them to provide them the ability to send stablecoins and receive stablecoins. That's really the first thing that they're doing. But that also basically brings us to capital market use cases where we're talking about collateral mobility. And we've seen the New York Stock Exchange and other exchanges basically allowing people to trade and fund through stablecoins. So that will become also a pretty important initiative for them.
All right, thank you, Fireblocks co-founder and CEO Michael Shaulov.
Thank you so much.